Hi, my name is Ashley Smith, and I'm the Associate Director of Financial Aid for Student Relations at Montgomery County Community College. During this session, I'm going to talk to you about important things you should know about financial aid and options to fund your college education. Students are often confused about the term financial aid. Simply stated, financial aid is money that students can use towards their college education expenses. Some of that funding could be free money, such as grant or scholarship funding, which may be awarded based on financial need or academic achievement, while other forms of financial aid could be loan funding that you can choose to borrow if needed. It could also be money that you can earn with work-study employment, for example, that you can use towards your education or other expenses you may incur as a student. There are various sources of financial aid. At the federal level, the U.S. Department of Education awards grants and loans based on financial need. At the state level, here in Pennsylvania, the Pennsylvania Higher Education Assistance Agency, commonly referred to as FEA, awards state funds in the forms of grants to those who qualify. Montgomery County Community College also offers a vast amount of scholarships and grants to our students through our foundation. Private sources of funding are also available, like tuition reimbursement through employers, or scholarships awarded from outside sources, like local businesses and corporations, or local civic groups, for example. The starting point to applying for most forms of financial aid is completing the FAFSA. That's the common acronym for the Free Application for Federal Student Aid. It's an electronic application that students should file annually, the year before they are seeking the assistance, and it uses financial information from 2 years prior. The FAFSA information is used to put together a financial aid offer letter, which outlines all of the financial assistance options students are entitled to utilize towards their education expenses. The FAFSA is available October 1st, the year preceding the time frame for which the aid would be used, and should be filed before May 1st to maximize funding opportunities. May 1st is the FEA state grant deadline for most students, which is why that date is the preferred deadline date for filing. But applications can be filed after that date throughout the academic year if needed. It's just not recommended that you wait that long to file. There are two ways students and their parents, in cases of a dependent student, can file the FAFSA. The first and most common way to complete the application is applying online at studentaid.gov under the Apply for Aid dropdown. We recommend you use Chrome as your browser if completing the form online. A second, more recent way to complete the form is to download the My Student Aid app to your smartphone or tablet and complete the application that way. It's a really cool tool that uses a model similar to TurboTax to ascertain the required information for the form. Before you complete your FAFSA, you should create your secure username and password that will be used to e-sign your application. This username and password is referred to as an FSA ID and is created at fsaid.ed.gov under the Create an FSA ID tab. For students who are required to file with parental information, a parent will also need to secure their own FSA ID. Each person needs to create their own FSA ID using their own email address. Parents and students cannot apply using the same email address. We recommend that all Montgomery County Community College students, regardless of income level, complete the FAFSA annually. As long as you have a Social Security number, you can complete the application. All U.S. citizens and eligible non-citizens, generally permanent residents on a green card, those with an alien registration number or refugees, for example, should apply. One important note is that only the student citizenship or eligible non-citizenship status is taken into account on the FAFSA. A student's parent's citizenship has absolutely no bearing on the application. So for students required to file with their parents, if your parent doesn't have a Social Security number, you would simply enter zeros in the parent Social Security number section and continue the application. I'd like to provide you with some tips you may find helpful when completing the FAFSA. First, so many people are intimidated by the application before ever even attempting to apply, so they put off filing until the last second or never file at all. This is really unfortunate because honestly, the application is not super difficult to file and generally takes about 30 minutes to complete for those who are prepared. If you have questions or difficulty filing, there are so many resources available to receive help, which I will delve into a little later in this presentation. So reach out for assistance if you need it. There's nothing wrong with or shameful about asking for help if you are confused and need support. My second tip is that, as I mentioned earlier, the form is looking at financial information from 2 years prior. So this means for those of you who are tax filers, you would be using your federal tax return from 2 years ago. The FAFSA will provide you with information pertaining to which financial year you should be answering questions about right on the application. For those of you who are not tax filers or who were not tax filers 2 years ago, who weren't required to file taxes, you'd be using your W-2 income information if you had income earned from work. A myth I dispel all the time is that you do not need to be a tax filer in order to file the FAFSA. There are people who are not required to file taxes based on their income, and they can and should be completing the FAFSA as well. Third, those of you who are tax filers should transfer your federal tax information directly from the IRS using the data retrieval tool option within the FAFSA application. This tool transfers the data from your taxes to the FAFSA application and helps eliminate errors and the need for potential corrections in order to finalize your application. Fourth tip, make sure you are reading the questions carefully, not ignoring information on the application and skimming through. Double check your responses as you're answering questions and do a complete check at the end of the application to ensure you didn't make a common mistake, like inverting your name and entering your first name in the last name spot, or entering a student information in the parent information sections and vice versa, or inflating your income by entering the cents noted on your W-2 as opposed to whole dollar amounts, or saving and not submitting the application. Fifth, most high school students and students under the age of 24 are required to file with their parents' financial data. This is a federal regulation, and there are limited exceptions. Finally, our financial aid team at Montgomery County Community College has developed a really simple and informative 5-step guide to filing your FAFSA, which you can search on our website at mc3.edu by typing the word FAFSA, F-A-F-S-A. Our office receives questions from students and parents all the time about whose information is required to be used on the FAFSA application. As I just mentioned, most high school students and students under the age of 24 are required to file with their parents' financial data. So parents, whether single or married, would be required to complete the parent section of the application. In cases of divorce or separation, the student should report the data for the parent with whom they live or who financially supports more. If that parent is remarried, their spouse's information is also required. There are no exceptions to this requirement in cases of remarriage. If the student's biological parents are unmarried but living together, both parents' information is required on the FAFSA. For students whose parents reside in another country, you are also required to file with your parents' demographic and financial information. As I'd mentioned before, you would simply enter zeros in place of a Social Security number for them. It is important for me to also note, grandparents, foster parents, and legal guardians are not ever considered parents on the FAFSA application unless they legally adopted the student. If you're a student with a unique situation, for example, you're facing homelessness, or you're in the care of someone else other than your parents due to extenuating circumstances, or you are in the custody of the state and considered a ward of the court, you may not be required to file with parental data. Reach out to our team and we can help you complete the application if you are having difficulty filing the form. There are a wide variety of resources available to help students and their families complete the FAFSA application. The Federal Student Aid Information Center has a wonderful website with great FAQs and a customer service team available to help by phone, email, or instant chat 7 days a week. Their website is https://studentaid.gov/help center/contact, and their phone number is 1-800-433-3243. I'd previously mentioned Montgomery County Community College's Navigating the FAFSA webpage at mc3.edu. That's also a great resource. Students and prospective students can also schedule a one-on-one appointment to attain FAFSA assistance with a member of our financial aid team by reaching out to our office. If you have a Montco ID, you can schedule an appointment online after logging into Montco Connect through your My Success network. We generally offer a variety of options to meet with you, whether in person, by phone, or via a virtual counseling session, where we can voice or video chat with you and even screen share if needed. I'll be supplying our contact information at the end of this presentation. Filing your FAFSA is not the last step to the financial aid application process. You need to ensure your application is received by Montgomery County Community College and may potentially be required to submit documentation to finalize your application. It is important to monitor your Montco student email, the email address you used on the FAFSA application. You may need to check your junk mail too, and your financial aid checklist. This checklist is the easiest way to see where you stand in the financial aid process, and students can access it after logging into Montco Connect and going to SelfService, then navigating to the financial aid section. If there's anything you need to do in order to finalize your financial aid, you will see the information and steps you need to follow there. SelfService is also where you will be able to view your student billing information and see how your financial aid will impact your bill and whether or not you may have an out-of-pocket expense. SelfService is also where you can view your program requirements and plan out your courses too. Montgomery County Community College is proud to sponsor our students by offering scholarships and grant funds to those who qualify. When you complete your FAFSA, you are applying for most of the college's scholarship opportunities, but we also recommend you complete our supplemental application to be in the running for all of the scholarships we offer. This information can be found online at mc3.edu by searching the term scholarships. For students with high academic achievements, we also encourage you to learn more about our honors program and apply for an honors scholarship. More information can be found on the college's scholarships webpage. We encourage all students and prospective students to take advantage of applying for private scholarships. There are scholarship funds that nonprofits, charities, civic organizations, employers, and local businesses, as well as national and global corporations, offer to students. These scholarships usually have their own application process, but the payoff to applying and attaining a private scholarship could be well worth the investment of your time to apply. There are some wonderful college scholarship search engines you can utilize. We have listed them on our scholarship webpage at mc3.edu/scholarships. But know that you should never provide your Social Security number or pay to apply for a private scholarship. We also encourage students to check into employer reimbursement opportunities their employers or their parents' employers may offer. It is important to review with you that all student information on record at the college is protected by the Family Education Rights and Privacy Act, commonly referred to as FERPA. This law protects student information such as grades, class schedule, and tuition billing information from being shared, even with parents or family members who may be helping with tuition payments. Students can choose to give permission for specific people to have access to their records and speak on their behalf by filling out a FERPA waiver form accessible in the student portal. Students can also give proxy access to certain electronic information to a parent, spouse, or someone who is helping them navigate their college education. It is also important to remind financial aid recipients that the continued receipt of financial aid is dependent not only upon filing your FAFSA every year, but also on maintaining satisfactory academic progress. This means that you must maintain a certain GPA, take courses required for your degree or certificate program, and that continual withdrawals, failures, and repeated coursework could cause you to lose your financial aid eligibility. You can learn more about financial aid satisfactory academic progress by searching the term academic progress at mc3.edu. Perhaps the most important piece of advice I can offer to students is to keep the line of communication open with the college. It is your responsibility to read and understand college policies, to check your MC3 student email often and respond to messages and requests promptly, to ensure that your contact information is up to date in your student record, to make sure your tuition bill is paid on time, and to submit any required documentation we need in order to complete your student file. You are your biggest advocate in college. You must also communicate with college staff if you are unsure about something or you need help. We have a full staff ready and able to help you, but you have to reach out to us when you need assistance so we can help you. Here, I've listed various financial aid resources you may find helpful. Feel free to screenshot or photograph this information for reference later. In closing, the financial aid team at Montgomery County Community College can be reached in a variety of ways. We want to help support you and invite you to contact us with your questions or concerns. You can reach us by phone or email to financialaid@mc3.edu. Thank you so much for taking the time to watch this presentation. Have a great day, and we look forward to having you join the Montco family.